Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and in this video, we are talking about knives with multiple deployments. Now, I specifically seeked out knives with at least 3 forms of deployment. Kind of cheated with this one. This is the Orion Solaris 14C28N G10 multi-row bearings, and this is a button lock, so it makes it ridiculously smooth. Now, we have one form of deployment, the flipping action. Then we have 2 forms of deployment, the thumb stud, which you can also, that was my fault, you can also reverse flick. Now, my third form on this one is the button push. You can push the button and swing it out. So, is that cheating? Yeah, kinda, because like with any button lock, you can do that, like kind of like this Kizer swag swayback. It also has the thumb studs, and actually Civivi right now has a few button lock knives with 2 forms of deployment coming out very, very soon. So let's get to the next one though. The next one, we have the Kizer Keen Nadder. Now the reason why I'm using this one, these knives are going to get better, but the reason why I'm using this one is because it has a flipper tab, the thumb stud, and the fuller. So you can use the thumb stud for the thumb deployment or the reverse flick, but then you also have a fuller here for you to flick. Now the Keen Nadder, yeah, it has the fuller, so that makes it easier, but I could reverse flick this thing off the fuller. I really don't need the fuller. And the Civivi Keen Nadder is a cool knife. I do like it. It has a recurved Tonto blade with a hollow grind and flat grind, so a dual grind, and it has N690 steel. I almost called it Nitro V. N690 steel. Micarta, nice thin profile, great action, great detent, very solid build. But like the fuller on that one, I can do the same thing on this. Now, this isn't a multiple deployment knife. I'm just showing it as a reference. I can easily reverse flick this knife. And it doesn't have a fuller. It's just, it has a hollow grind. So it has the hollow grind, and it has this line right there where the top flat part of the grind is. So I can easily do that with a lot of knives. So I could have thrown a lot of knives on this list if I used that as one of the deployments. Next. So the next one is the Demco AD20. And you can even say the Demco AD20.5. Now, this one has the thumb studs, 1. You can also reverse flick off the thumb studs, 2. Or actually, that's not even 2. This is 2. Or you can use the fuller if you have the fuller option, which works really good. Your finger lands right in there really good, and you can push really hard because this thing is such a solid build. It feels fine. Then you also have the shark lock, which you can pull down. You see how it pops out? You can kind of use it like a flipper tab, and it works great. So, and you can even do that on the little guy. So, 3 forms of deployment. Now, let's stop cheating. This is a prototype. First of all, this is a prototype, but they should be coming out very, very soon. At least to my knowledge, that's what I'm told. This is the Detolith Bella, and this has an actual 3 forms of deployment. We have a flipper tab. We have a fuller that's easy to reverse flick. You can do this right or left-handed very easily. And look at this drop. This thing is fall shut as you can get. And you have a top flipper that's jimped exactly the way I like my jimping done on a top flipper. It's all the way around. So easy peasy pie to top flip this thing. It's very, very easy, and the drop on it is so stupid smooth. The detent is just put in a perfect place where you're always past it, and the flipper works quite well too. Even though it only has 2 little jumps, it works great. The detent, it's incredible how they got that I drop knives. It's incredible how they got the detent so well tuned for every single form of deployment on this. We have a clip point blade with a very thin hollow grind. This thing is very, very thin. Really nice carbon fiber that really plays with the light. And this one is an N690. The Detolith Bella. Next, we have the Tucson TS195. I love this knife. This knife is a fantastic knife, and it's an integral. If this knife was from any other company, it'd be a $500 knife for sure. I mean, at least $400. So we have flipping action, reverse flicking action that is incredible because this swedge up here has a sharp edge. It has a sharp corner on it. So you can also thumb flick it. Well, then you can also top flip it. All forms of deployment work incredibly, incredibly well. Now, anytime you have a top flipper and a flipper at the same time, you have to light switch. You cannot push button because it'll come around and hit you. See that? It'll come around and hit you. So what you want to do is just pull down. And as long as you do it like that, it works very, very well. The build quality on this is... they knocked it out of the park. If you take out this pivot right here, there's a window right here for you to work on everything. So you can pull the blade out, you can slip it back in, you can literally take out all the bearings, and right here, it's like just like a little compartment for you to work on the knife. It's very, very nice. Nice big steel lock bar insert. M390 steel. This action is incredible. And yeah, man, very comfortable in the hand. Now, it does kind of have a little bit of a thicker grind because the grind starts like halfway up the blade right here. It's not thick behind the edge, but it gets thick quick because of the grind. But this is, you can slice with it a little bit, but it's primarily going to be a utility cutter. But yes, you can make a cut with it without a problem, but you do have some drag from the fuller. Love this frag pattern. It's nice and deep, and it's an integral, man. That's amazing. One solid piece. Now, the one issue I have is that the stop pin hits right under the edge. I do not like that. It makes it more difficult to sharpen because I cannot sharpen that out. So if I chip my tip and I need to do steel removal, or if I decide that I want to really lay back my edge angle, which I do a lot, I have to be super careful not to remove that steel. And you can already see how close I am to it. I've only put in one or maybe two edges on this, and I'm already two right there. So that's my only downfall with this knife, but I just have to avoid that section and make sure I don't sharpen it out. Last but not least, now, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna throw in one honorable mention just because somebody just recently gifted this to me. Whoo! This is a tank. The flipping action is awesome, actually. We have thumb stud action, and you have the fuller that you can reverse flick off of. Like I said, though, I could have probably reverse flicked this blade if it didn't have the fuller. Maybe. Yeah, I probably could have. But the thumb studs are huge. This thing is a tank. It's a beast. And being in brass, this thing's got to be a pound. I mean, at least. It's so, so heavy. But I just wanted to show this. The 3 forms of deployment on a brick. All right. But seriously, we have the EMP Nimble. The EMP EDC Nimble. Now, you're probably thinking these are sold out. They're sold out. Well, guess what? They got their second batch for pre-order right now. And you can also get on their pre-order for their thick boy. So, get on it. Get on. If you want to get one of these, get on that pre-order. Now, later on in the year or maybe next year, they're going to make a large version of this. I'm personally going to try my best. Hopefully I can get one of the large versions. This action is incredible. We have 3 forms of deployment. We have the flipper tab, but like I said with the last ones, you can't push button this because it'll come around and hit you because it's a front flipper. So you want to light switch it. The detent is so well tuned for all three actions. It's amazing. It's very difficult to fail this. Then you have the front flipper. Oop, that was my fault. Front flipper also works good. And then you have the reverse flick, which you can also use the thumb flick. So technically you have 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 forms of deployment. So that's awesome. And you know, same thing with the bell aiming. You can also thumb flick. I forgot to say that. You can easily thumb flick off the bell aiming. But this is incredibly well-built knife. M390 steel, nice big finger choil. You can get up nice and close to that blade, nice and comfortable in the hand, beautiful frag pattern. And this comes in a lot of different versions. So there's also even like a Damascus package where you can get the clip and I think the pivot in Damascus. They have their cool little pattern right there. Very, very cool. Jimping all the way up the spine of that blade, which in return works really good in the hand. Very, very cool. Very, very fidgety. It's definitely a fidgeter's dream. I can reverse flick it with my pinky, I'm sure. Sure I can. Easily. I mean, it's insane. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.